Last month, our team published over 250 videos on YouTube. And if that sounds impossible to you as a business, that's because most operators think that YouTube is a creative problem when it's actually a systems problem. Today, I'm showing you our entire production workflow that we use to run our 50+ different YouTube channels. There are different stages that each video moves through, and also different roles within the company that allow us to post 250 to 300 videos per month without anybody burning out. If you're new here, our company makes about $300,000 a month across 50 different YouTube channels. And over the past few years, we've done over 1 billion impressions and over 100 million long form views. So this is really our bread and butter. We build YouTube channels from scratch, and we know how to build the systems to get them to generate millions of targeted long form viewers. So first, let me walk you through all of the stages of production that we have in our company. The first stage is the idea, and this is really important for most YouTube channels when they first start out. How we handle it on our team is we have a group of project managers split across all of the different channels, and part of their job is to figure out what is working well in their niche. So if they manage 3 to 4 different YouTube channels in our portfolio, they would be in charge of the ideation for those 3 to 4 channels. The big key here is what we call outliers. And so these are videos in a channel that did 10 to 20 times the normal amount of views. So you can find this in a big channel with an established audience, or you can find it in a smaller channel who just happened to strike gold with a video title or thumbnail or concept. And so when you stumble across one of these on YouTube, you're able to basically take what has already worked in the past. And so for us, a big part of our ideation process is figuring out what has already worked and then figuring out how we can make it different or better and more for our niche. Of course, we use a bunch of different tools as well, like vidIQ. We use Google Trends. I really like to use 1 of 10. This is a tool specifically designed to help you find outliers. And nowadays, we're also experimenting a lot with YouTube's AI Ask Studio feature. And of course, you can plug all of these outliers and all of these preferences when it comes to your content into a Claude skill that can be a repeatable process. And since we're talking about AI, I want to be clear because I think a lot of business owners will mess this part up. We're not just building these workflows and skills and letting them run automated. With every AI workflow, our goal is to have a real person on the team who is running that workflow and double checking everything. They would also be refining the skill over time. And so AI in at least this department doesn't replace anybody. It just makes our workflow a lot faster. There's one more piece to creating content ideas that I think is really important, and not a lot of people are talking about this right now. And that is the fact that we build a culture within our team of people who actually like to watch and consume YouTube videos. This means that at any given time, they will have a pretty good idea of what thumbnails and titles are working because they're constantly looking at their homepage with the intent of, hey, how can I take inspiration from this? And how can I use this to learn what works on YouTube? And so this is really good because if your team is watching YouTube recreationally and consistently, they will start to see patterns when it comes to titles and thumbnails, as long as they're watching content with the eye of how can I take inspiration from this and how can I learn? And so when they're using the AI workflows and they're prompting the AI to help them come up with video ideas, they're also able to take inspiration from their own viewership of YouTube. And I think this also works with all of the other stages that we will talk about as well, which brings me to the next stage, which is scripting. I love to talk about this with business owners because I think there is such a huge opportunity to use more of AI in the script writing space. For example, we love to have Claude create voice profiles, which will basically interview you, ask you 100 really deep questions on what you believe in, how you like to think, and how you like to write for YouTube videos. And so when the AI drafts the first version, it drafts something that is much closer to what you would actually say. But of course, this requires you to have a pretty solid prompt in the first place. And so what I'll do is I'll basically ask Claude, interview me really deep questions and ask me 100 of them specifically for YouTube. And then what I'll do is I'll just use a tool like Whisperflow to basically dictate to my laptop and reply to the responses in my natural voice. The next stage is going to be filming. And we typically recommend for the founder to be on camera because that's what we've seen work really well for the businesses that we've worked with. Nowadays, a lot of the biggest marketers and business owners in the world are switching to building out a personal brand. You have Jason Fladlin, who came from the webinar space, and he's done hundreds of millions of dollars there, but now he's actually switching over to personal branding. We saw that over the last few years with Alex Hormozi. He's blown up a ton over the past few years in the business space, and a lot of other really successful business owners have followed suit. Of course, that's not the only option. It is the one that we recommend, but some of our channels, we do have hosts that are hired to script and film for the channels. So if you really don't want to be on camera, then this isn't really that much of a problem, but the results are probably not going to be the best if it's not you as the founder on camera. The next stage is going to be editing, and this is where it's really going to pay dividends for you to have a project manager on your team. I would consider this a two-parter. So not only is the video editor working on editing the video, but also the thumbnail editor is editing the thumbnail for the YouTube video. Both of those people should ideally be working off of an SOP with your preferences for your channel. And the biggest unlock here for most business owners just starting out is they need to delegate this part out, right? To a project manager who can help manage and learn the SOP, learn the preferences, learn the style so that they can handle the video editor and the thumbnail designer. And that way it's not taking up hours and hours of your time every single week and every single month to manage them. And if you're starting from scratch, like totally brand new, then what I would recommend is starting off with an SOP based off of just what you know and what you think is right. And then it's up to you and your project manager to keep on refining that SOP. And it's going to be much easier for you to just train the project manager on your preferences rather than training the video editor and then having to repeat the same message to your thumbnail designer. And then if you have to hire more editors and thumbnail designers in the future, then you have to repeat the process again. So for us personally, we're training top down. So we train the project managers and the project managers can train the video editors and the thumbnail designers. The next stage is publishing. And for us, the project manager also owns this part of the process. So this means they're going to load the video into the YouTube studio. They're going to write the description. They're going to fill in the title, tags, thumbnail. Obviously, they would have already done the quality checks with the editor, thumbnail designer. You probably have given the final approval. And then past publishing, they can also run analytics. They can look at your YouTube studio data. They can look at the click-through rate, average view duration, impressions, all that good data that can feed into your feedback loop of scripting and filming if there's anything that needs to be improved. So that's our workflow. And we recommend that founders just focus on scripting and filming, and then the project manager and the rest of the team can handle everything else. There's one more thing that holds all of this stuff together, and that is weekly syncs, especially with us because we have a team that works overseas and it's completely remote. And so our project managers will typically meet 3 to 4 times a week. 3 of these will be just production catch-ups, and these will be anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour. And then the fourth one is usually on a Friday for us, and we will talk about anything from trends to videos that have really worked well to even any new AI workflows that we're currently testing and working through as a team. I don't think I need to get super tactical on this. You just need to know that it's good to have your production team talking to each other more than once a week, especially if everybody is remote. And I mean talking to each other face to face on a Zoom call or Google Meet, not just on a Slack message. This is how you can build a real culture of staying on top of YouTube, developing long-lasting relationships, increasing retention in your YouTube team. And it's also going to improve the communication that your team has with each other by a lot. Now I want to walk you through the MVP, so the minimum viable product that you can do right now if you're starting from scratch as a business owner, because chances are you probably don't want to run 50 different YouTube channels posting 250 to 300 times per month, which is fine because you don't have to have that much volume to push an incredible amount of high quality leads to your business every single month. The smallest version of this workflow as a total beginner is just 3 people. You need a project manager, a video editor, and a thumbnail designer. That's the minimum. And honestly, nowadays with AI getting so good, you might not even need a thumbnail designer. Every day, ChatGPT is getting really, really good at creating YouTube thumbnails. But even then, I would still want to hire a thumbnail editor to actually run the prompts, someone who knows what makes a good thumbnail to be able to double check everything, do quality checks and whatnot. Same thing with video editing. I know there's a lot of talk about video editing being replaced with AI, but I think it's going to be the same situation where video editors are still needed, but they just need to learn how to prompt and also use AI to 10x their output. So let's say you have those 3 people on your team. Here's what the first 2 to 3 weeks will look like in your business when you start off. The first week, you're just going to be coming up with video ideas and filming them. And then probably the second and third week, that's when you actually start posting the content and then creating that workflow and the flywheel for you to repeat every single week. It's going to look something like this. So your project manager is probably going to come up with some video ideas using the same approach that we just walked through. They're going to do the outlier research, track all the trends on, Google Trends or whatever, use AI. From there, you would script out the videos using AI with your voice profile like we talked about. Then the video would get filmed. So we recommend it be you if you're the business owner. And if you're doing 2 to 3 videos a week, it should take you only a couple hours per week. From there, your project manager would take all that footage, bring it to the editor, brief the thumbnail designer, run the quality checks, and post it on your YouTube channel. Now, a question you might be asking is, how many times should I be posting on YouTube if I'm just starting out and I want to grow my business YouTube channel from scratch? Now, this totally depends on your situation, right? Your budget, like who you're going to be able to hire for your team, and also how much time you have if you're going to be the one to film the videos. We usually recommend for business owners to film 1 to 2 videos per week. So that's 4 to 8 videos per month. That's a totally reasonable cadence if you have the 3 team members that we talked about. Now, one thing that I would really recommend that you think about as a business owner hiring a YouTube team for the first time is the fact that it's really nice to have backup team members. So So a backup project manager, backup video editor, and a backup thumbnail designer. Things happen. People get sick, people take vacations. They're not always on time. So if you want to avoid that mess of suddenly running into an emergency and then you have to scramble to find a replacement, and then the replacement isn't as high quality as your previous employee, and then it just creates this whole mess, right? We've seen it happen. It's happened to us in the past. We recommend just getting backup people in your company. So that's really it. I mean, for us on a much bigger scale, obviously we have multiple project managers, many thumbnail editors, video editors, etc. This is the system that's going to allow you to post consistently, right? Having a system, having an SOP, having a workflow, and most importantly, having the right people in the right seats who know what their roles are in the company. And that's how we do it without anybody on the team burning out. So at this point, if you're thinking, hey, that sounds like a lot of work, I don't want to spend the next year building out a YouTube team from scratch, that's fair. What we do at Longform Launch is we run this exact workflow for businesses who don't have a team. So the strategy, the ideation, the scripting, filming, editing, post-production, analytics, all that stuff, all you have to do as the business owner is show up, be on camera, or we can find a host for you if you would like. Again, that's not what we recommend, but it is part of our services if you would like. So if you'd rather skip all that hard work and have us come in and run the workflow for your channel, you can use the link in the description to get a free channel audit. We're going to help you to look at your channel, go over your goals, give you an action plan. And at the end, if it's a good fit for us to work together, obviously we would love to do that. If not, you can absolutely take everything in this video and go build it out on your own. And if there's any part of this workflow that I talked about today that you would like me to go deeper on, please leave a comment down below. That's all for this video. I hope you guys got some value from it. Leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you guys in the next video.